Hello!
Hi.
Today on Desktop, we're going to be talking about Paper Mario and the Origami King and giving our first impressions. And we're also going to be talking about Velma Dinkley. Is she gay?
Please consider liking and subscribing. All right, let's just jump into our, I guess, check-ins. How are you doing, Brian Sullivan, my dear friend and co-host of this great Desktop episode?
I'm doing all right. As you know, I have been playing Paper Mario and the Origami King. Other than that, I'm all right. How are you?
Lego had announced yet another Nintendo set, a Lego Nintendo Entertainment System.
What?
Lego Nintendogs. I'd kill myself if that was announced before
Because there's no way
set. It's just a regular
I just thought
dog.
about it. It would just be dogs, and there's no way it would be.
Okay, well, I'm glad that tickled you so much. But we have a Lego Entertainment System now with functional cartridge. The system opens and closes. And then it comes with a TV with a knob, and when you turn the knob, the screen scrolls, and a little Mario goes through the level, and it's the coolest thing ever. It's $220, which is fucking crazy. Where's
That's
Lego Peach's Castle?
Nothing for Legos, right? Like $220 is like...
So there's like $15 sets, 20, 60, 80, and then you get to like 160, 200. The most expensive set I've ever gotten, I think it was like $200. I think it was the Friends set. I don't know why it's so expensive.
Licensing, probably.
Anyway, so that was announced. I remain hopeful for more Mario / maybe Animal Crossing sets in the future, but that has been keeping me going. That's what I've been into recently. That's all on my end.
Well, what have you been thinking about Paper Mario and the Origami King so far?
First,
where are you in the game? Let's start there, I guess.
Okay, so I have just completed the first ribbon segment. So I have destroyed the red ribbon. I have fought against the Earth Vellumental, I think that's what they're called, and the first of the office supplies I've destroyed the colored pencils.
That was a fun battle. I liked that.
Yeah, same.
Yeah.
Where are you in this?
So I have defeated the third Vellumental and 2 of the office supply battles. I'm on my way to the third one right now.
Okay.
I'm playing it right underneath the camera.
Nice. Oh, you need to get a capture card so we could see your gameplay as we continue our discussion. So what are your opening thoughts on this so far? You're probably like 8 hours in now?
I'm not sure. I've done 2 ribbons, but I've gotten to the third.
Oh,
I'm about to do the third.
Okay.
But yeah, no, I don't know. It's been fun. I have conflicting feelings because I do feel as if the battle system, I think some things could have used a little bit more work in the game before it was shipped. I don't think the battle system is quite as intuitive as they felt it was. And it's grown on me. It's become easier. And like the puzzles, solving them, sometimes you have, they only give you the exact right amount of moves to solve the puzzle. Usually. You might have if it's one that can be solved in one turn, then they might give you 2 moves, but otherwise, usually you have 3 moves, and that's how many moves it takes to get it right. And sometimes when I turn on the circle to rotate it, the direction will change, even though I'm moving in the same direction.
To me too, sometimes.
I don't like that. I don't really understand that. I don't know why it's not just why can't you just turn it to the left and have it move to the left? I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I think there are some things that could have used a little refining, but overall, it's so charming and so fun. I love all the story beats about it. I think so far from what I've seen, the story is really cute and I'm enjoying it. And I love finding all the toads. I think that's a fun element of a game, is just finding like hidden things in the
I
world.
love that too. Yeah.
What about you?
That
How are you feeling?
I really like the game so far. I
Mhm.
think, kind of like you, I think it's really charming. The humor is it's just the right amount. If they went for jokes any more in this game, I would be really annoyed. But it's really funny. It's charming. The fighting mechanics, the battle system, I really like it. I think it's very intuitive. I'm still kind of getting used to sliding. I could spin the rings and I'm kind of able to figure things out, but when it comes to sliding, it's just like my brain refuses to add that layer
Oh, it'll
of
get worse, trust me.
strategy. Um, so most of the time I just pay my health tax and I just kind of brute force it. My only huge complaint with this, and it kind of still stands, is there's no original characters in this game other than, we do meet some tree friends in the beginning, if you'd like to consider those original characters. But other than that, you get King Ollie, Olivia, and that's really it. And that's a little annoying. You could tell that they've done everything they possibly could given the cards that they were dealt, though. They're really
Yeah.
trying to like do as many things as they can with these generic toads.
Some of them are not generic. Some of them do have distinguishing features. I think I've come across one with a captain's hat. They're all hats, I guess.
Yeah.
Professor Toad. I've come across one with a boating. It's like a rice hat, and he's like a boat operator. But yeah, they're not like super.
Yeah, they just put hats on top
crazy.
of their mushroom
They're
top and
they're just different colored. They're like either pink, yellow, green, blue, or red, and
mhm.
then they just have different hats. Some of them,
So
the special ones.
that's like my biggest complaint. And then I've never really cared about people ragging on the game for not being an
Never really
RPG. And I never really cared until now when I'm playing. Coins mean nothing to me at this point in the game. I don't know if that changes for you, but I have so many coins, I don't know what to do with them. I've never really had any reason to spend
Yeah.
them yet.
So
And
my advice to you, something that like it took me a while to get used to it. So they have the system where you're supposed to give money to toads to cheer you on.
yeah.
And they kind of briefly mention that in the beginning, but they don't really ever talk to you about it like it being important. I found that when you give them like 500 tokens, like later on, if it's like a very hard fight, you give them like 500 tokens, they will actually move the enemies around and like start solving the puzzle for you. They'll give you health, they'll give you items. Like it's worth it, because then you'll
Okay.
finish the fight and get like 1,000 gold or something, whatever, however much you get, because you got the puzzle right and you did it, with the attack bonus and everything. So it's worth it to use that game mechanic that they give you.
Okay.
For sure.
Because other than that, like, I have no incentive to really fight enemies. I
Confetti.
run away. I run away from a lot of enemies because it's just like, I mean, I have a bunch of coins, so that's the only real reward you get. You get confetti, but I mean, there's trees and flowers and
there will be later times in the game where there is not as much environmental ways to get confetti, that you have to like you run out and you need to get some to fill something. So like killing a monster is the easiest way to get it. Yeah.
I still hit points where I'm like, man, like shit, like I hit this enemy and I have to fight them, and like I don't like I just want to get to where I'm going. But there's a point where Olivia will tell you, hey, you've leveled up a certain amount to where if you hit a Goomba on the head with your hammer in the overworld now, it'll just die. Yeah. Which is like, thank God.
But so if it runs up on you and surprises you, you still have to fight.
You still have to fight. So you there's that risk reward thing. Finding the toads is great. I mention it every so often, but I follow a YouTuber named Arlo, and he kind of pointed this thing out, and it kind of it surprised me to realize this, but it's kind of like this Nintendo thing where in Breath of the Wild you have the Korok seeds, in Mario Odyssey you have the moons everywhere, and then in Pokemon you have the Digletts.
Yeah, in the new Pokemon expansion.
And now we have toads, and I think adding that new layer in games in general is always just a fun little thing. It gives players
just
more
a game
reason to
within a
kinda
game.
just kind of walk around, look for the toads. I've had a really good time. They all have unique dialogue, which is really fun. And unlike Pokemon, whenever we save a toad and they're like, "Oh, thanks," you see them walk back to town.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
you
I
can
noticed that
follow
too.
them. It doesn't cut
Yep.
to black. Yeah, they leave.
Yep.
And it's so neat because like 10, 15 minutes later, you're doing your own thing and you get a ding on the top right of your screen. And it's like, oh, this toad just made it back to the shop. The shop's now open. And that is so cool to me. I
Yeah.
love that because I'm like, did they just vanish or did they actually real time walk back? Or it makes it feel like it's like a real, like, oh, they just got settled in. Like that's so, that little detail,
I noticed that
made
as
me
well.
so
I think it was
happy.
really cool.
I love that. But yeah, I just think, lack of original characters is my biggest complaint. Everything else about this has been great. The combat system is a little but I can, as of right now, where I'm at, I'm able to look past it.
I find the boss battles fun. I've fought, let's see, 3 of the elementals. I fought 2 of the stationary objects or stationary tools. I fought 2 mini bosses that are all boss battle format, and I think I really like that. The minion one I don't like very much just because it's so like it's so repetitive feeling. They throw eventually, like when you meet like when boos start like becoming a monster you see and stuff, there will be some new things, like they disappear after, like you'll see them when you enter the battle and then about a second later they disappear, so you have to remember where they are. So that kind of adds a layer that I think was interesting, and I wish more enemies had like a special thing, because I think that's what it's lacking a little bit for me. It feels very repetitive in that sense. And I don't like items breaking. Game developers.
That hasn't happened to me yet, but I'm waiting for it.
Making items that break. Or if they do, make it last a while. I don't want to have to play a resource game with my fucking items to like make sure I have them. And it doesn't quite
especially
even
if it's
sense.
like a necessary thing, because it's like you have a row of those spiky things. It's like I have to use the iron boots.
Yeah,
you have to, unless you try to maneuver them to do what. And that kind of goes on my other complaint. I didn't like Color Splash. Kind of does the same thing where there's not a lot of strategy in the fights. Like whenever I'm in a battle, there is a correct answer. There is a correct series of things you need to do in order to expertly get through this battle. And if you don't do that, you're just in this weird clusterfuck of like, okay, well, now I just need to...
You're penalized. Like, almost like it's funny because you're either good at it and then it's super easy, or you mess it up and then it's a shitstorm. It's I don't know.
All the battles are just puzzle. They're slide puzzles. And so... that's fine. Like I've managed to have a good time up until this point playing it, but it's just this, I hate to say it, but the fact that this game is called Paper Mario, I cannot help but compare this to other games also called Paper Mario.
Did any of the other Paper Mario games have like a combat system, or was it all overworld combat?
The first 2 games had turn-based combat, similar to have you played the Mario and Luigi games?
Yes,
it's
I played
very
the
similar.
Inside Story, or Bowser's Inside Story.
The fighting mechanics in that series is very, very similar to Paper Mario.
Very RPG like.
You press A rhythmically whenever you like jump on enemies and all that other stuff.
That's one of my favorite parts about the battling system. I like doing that, like timing.
It feels so good.
Getting the excellence.
The boost that happens when you expertly do the hammer with the explosion, you get that sweet 14 damage on a row of Goombas. It's great. But yeah, there's no strategy. I think it. You know what I mean. There's an exact answer. There's a way to do everything. It doesn't feel like I'm being creative.
The problem I have as well is there's no multiple solutions to finding things.
You can't play the way you want to play. You
Usually,
are kind of
yeah.
forced to do
Yeah.
what they want you to do.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm still so surprised that I like this game as much as I do. I went into it with like center of the earth low expectations of this game. It was really hard for me to decide to buy it in the first place because I had read I don't know if you read the interview or heard of it yet, but the producer,
one where they talk about not being allowed to make or
original
use other
characters.
Yeah.
But I read this interview where the producer's like, yes, in Sicker Star, we're not allowed to make any new characters that impede on the Mario universe. So we have to get creative. And yet he's like...
What does that mean? Like...
So
I didn't quite understand that.
They're not allowed to make a new character that has never existed before. They're only allowed to use characters from current Mario games, and they're not allowed to change them in a way that would make them look unique from their generic form, I guess. Like with Toads, right? They cannot take off that Toad hat thing that they have, and they can't take off their, like, you know... Yeah, and same thing with like the Goombas and the Koopas and stuff. Like their shells can't be like a different color or anything. There's like green and there's red.
That's kind of lame.
Yeah, it's just so frustrating. It was so disheartening to read. And they were talking about like, yeah, we've listened to the fans about the RPG mechanics, but we want to keep things different so that people working on the games, you know, are able to stay interested. But it's just like, you know, they'd probably be more interested if they were allowed to make original things. And then at the end of it, they were like, all I ask is that fans keep an open mind. And it's just like, well, it's damned if you do, damned if you don't. Because like, if I have an open mind, I'm still giving them my money. I can't take back my money if I don't like the game. So it doesn't matter if I'm vocal about not liking it. They have my money now. So what reason would they have to change anything if, you know? But I ended up buying it, and I was very pleasantly surprised. I really enjoy this. I'm still devastated that there's no original characters, and that will always be a part of every conversation I have about this. Because it's like, it's just so... That's all that's left now.
Yeah, I guess, like, for me, I'm like... So they do kind of still have original characters in the sense of, like, they have the stationary bosses, and they have, like... So that's why I'm confused, because I'm like, they clearly are creating stuff.
Well, that doesn't impede on like the Mario universe. Like that's an inanimate object. That's not like a creature that like, you know, yeah. But even the elementals are origami. They're not like actual creatures that are like, you know, like they're more of an actual object. I vaguely get
what you mean. Sure.
Yeah. Like, I'm sure if that thing had a pair of eyeballs and had a more of a personality, big red flag, like, can't do it, you know? Yeah.
Interesting. I don't know. That's very disappointing. It doesn't surprise me, given Nintendo. And
it's just so weird. Like, Luigi's Mansion 3 had a bunch of original characters, and the Mario and Luigi games have always been... very unique, and Mario Odyssey had a plethora of like 10 billions of new designs. It's just weird that they would put that limitation on another studio.
Yeah. Huh.
And like even Luigi's Mansion wasn't made in-house. That was like made by an outside. So I don't know. It's weird. It's such a weird limitation.
Yeah, I still can't quite wrap my mind around it. I understand on a base level. I get what you're saying. Like they're not... You wouldn't expect to see a thing of colored pencils in the Mario universe, like in Odyssey or something. But like in Odyssey, might. Like, I don't know. Yeah. It's strange. It's like...
I just think... Because those pencils don't have like a face. It's just more of like an inanimate object that's like moving. Sure. And the personality is coming from the dialogue that it's talking about. Like, so that's my interpretation.
Sure.
I'm sure because we aren't the only people talking about this interview. Lots of other people are. So maybe they'll release a clarification or something of this rule. Or maybe it'll be brought up again in 5 years and the next Paper Mario is announced. But like,
No, because they'll just kind of say the same thing, I'm sure. Or if either the restriction will get lifted quietly and we won't know it, or they'll just kind of be like, "Hey guys, we're doing our best to like come up with a game that you can play without."
And it's also, I think he said like, "Oh, do you have any ideas for the next one?" He's like, "Oh, we got to think of another paper gimmick."
Yeah.
And it's just like, "Oh, I got to think of another. Oh, your water bottle, your bottle." Oh. Very spooky. But anyways, I would highly recommend the new Paper Mario to anybody as of right now. I'm sure we'll get into like a review.
I think later. It's fun. The only thing I can think is like, I don't know. I think there's a lot of cool stuff. I think we'll give it a full review probably after we finish it. But yeah, right now I enjoy it. I'd recommend it as well.
Yeah, it's nice.
Yeah.
What's next, Nintendo?
What's next? Pokemon
Emerald
Diamond
2.
And Pearl?
No, we're going to get another remake of Red and Blue.
As long as they have a Dunsparce evolution, I'm fine.
Pokemon Dunsparce Chronicles.
Dunsparce. Let's go Dunsparce and...
Let's go Dunsparce and let's go Dunsparce. They're both... They have... Does Dunsparce have a visual difference between genders?
No, I don't think so.
Even better. You just choose the gender your Dunsparce.
You could have a shiny one. One could be shiny.
Oh, there you go.
It's like pinkish.
Pokemon Ranger, or not Ranger, Mystery Dungeon, but they're all Dunsparce.
Yeah.
Where's the ROM hack? But speaking of Velma.
Wow, I seem to be in some sort of strange land. There's
You're kind of in the middle of the street there.
Up in that house, I bet.
Oh no, the mystery machine's behind you. Oh, Brian's wearing headphones. He can't hear. Oh no.
But yeah, so Velma, I believe James Gunn announced or was asked. I don't really understand how it came about.
I think the showrunner of Mystery Incorporated announced it first, and then James Gunn announced that, having seen that first announcement.
Yeah, so the first announcement was that she is supposed to be a coded gay character, I believe. Is that correct? I
believe so.
Or did they explicitly say she's gay?
I think that they explicitly said that the showrunner said that they are not in charge of all Scooby-Doo canon, but as far as the continuity of Mystery Incorporated, Velma is gay, and went on to say that her relationship with Shaggy in the beginning of the series was as awkward as it was because she was gay, and she
makes sense. I've been in a straight relationship.
And then shortly after making that announcement, James Gunn also came out and said,
not to be outdone,
that he wrote Velma to be gay in the original Scooby-Doo script, and Warner Brothers watered it down to the point where she had a boyfriend in both movies. So he has said that he considers Velma to be gay in those movies. So
we both have a lot of feelings. You and I have already briefly spoke a little about this.
Yeah, I think you worded it best, so I'll let you kind of say your opinion. I think you said something like, they're not gay until we see it on camera, or like...
Yeah, you don't get credit for creating a gay character or allowing a character to be gay if we don't either see it in the book, see it on the show, see it in the movie. If we don't see it, then it's not representation. It's you I don't know if it fits gay baiting or if that's like, I know gay baiting is a specific thing. I don't know if there is a word for like retroactively telling people that a character is gay, even though
It's pulling a Rowling.
it's what is it? It's some sort of like fake ally, like what is it called? There is a word. Anyway, it is very Rowling-esque with I think she kind of kickstarted that whole she opened this can of worms that people do this now with characters where um and not to get too ahead of myself, it is exciting for people that Velma is announced gay. Like there are like
And it's
gay
even like in the
people.
context of a show that has stopped running, I
Yeah,
think 4 years ago. Like this
yeah.
one version of Scooby Doo in a rejected pitch of the movie.
Mhm.
So
And
like,
it's funny because the character has always resonated well with like there's like a meme that I've seen relatively recently that's like it's them and I think either the first or second Scooby-Doo movie, and it's like Daphne's for the gays and Velma's for the lesbians, and it's like the two of them side by side in their outfits, uh and like everyone seems to be in like a pretty like fine agreement in that, like Daphne's
yeah.
for gay men and Velma's for lesbians. And so I think it's exciting for lesbians, for other gay people to see like, oh wow, that character is gay. And it's very easy to be just, I don't want to say I don't want to say naive, because I don't think that's that's not what I feel, but it's very easy to just kind of ignore the fact that, oh, it wasn't shown on screen, but like, oh, that is a gay character, cool, like confirmed. um I don't know. I think it's kind of shitty, you know. It's another one of
I
those things where
I think that they take a by making this announcement, they
yeah.
are kind of taking away any of the excitement or hype that will come from the creator, screenwriter, or director that brings a version of Velma to a
Mhm.
screen that is actually gay.
Yeah, if that ever
Um,
happens.
yeah, that's the
Yeah,
weird part for me, because
I
like
agree with you.
I think it will happen.
Yeah.
It's only a matter of time. I think.
Maybe. See, here's my thing with Dumbledore. Um, I okay, you know, you don't show it throughout the books, you know, whatever. It's not a big deal. You announce he's gay after the books are done. Cool. All right, you know, not a big deal, but like you don't get credit for writing a character that you didn't write. You know, you didn't write him to be gay. But you had like in J.K. Rowling's, in her sense, the Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them came out,
Yeah,
and
multiple opportunities.
there are multiple opportunities, and even like I think was she obviously had to be the one to say that Dumbledore and Grindelwald were in a relationship at some point,
Yeah,
and in the movie, instead of
has not happened
even
yet.
referencing that, because I'm pretty sure we're past the point where they had been in a relationship. It was in their youth that they were, but instead of referencing that at all, even one line, the line we get, which is it makes me mad. It's one of the characters talking about how they had a bond as close as brothers. That pisses me off.
Yeah, the Sappho and her friend. Do you follow
Yeah,
that
like,
subreddit? Yeah,
oh,
that
that's
is.
so frustrating.
It's really annoying, and it's also interesting that both of these properties are owned by Warner Brothers.
Yeah.
Um, Now, I definitely think that 90% of the blame is on J.K. Rowling, because she
If
created Harry
sh-
Potter. She has
I
a
think
lot
she
of
had
she
a
has
lot
a
of say in the
lot of
movie. I think.
leverage. If J.K. Rowling says a character's gay and pushes for it hard enough in the movie that she's writing, I'm sure Warner Brothers would cave and do it. A smaller creator, I feel like they would
Yeah.
encourage, but um, Warner Brothers, I mean, it's a show, but I mean, they also own Steven Universe,
Yeah.
and they you know, a lot happened in that
Yeah.
show. So
I
I
think
don't know
that
what the
one, Steven Universe, kind of skirts by a lot because it's these like the beings are technically not human. I
They're
think
like thin-bodied though.
Yeah, but I think they get away with a lot because they're just like, oh, they're just gems, they're aliens.
Yeah.
They're not. So I think they get away with a lot more. It's
probably
it's disappointing because like we're in the year 2020 and we still can't just have characters that are just gay on screen and have it not be a big deal, which is like, that's ultimately what I want. Is I just want to like be consuming media, find a character that's gay. I mean, Paranorman, that was so crazy. Like that was probably one of the first instances where I was like in some sort of like cartoon format, some sort of like, it was stop motion animation, but it like that was the first gay character.
It was very natural too.
What's that?
It was also just pretty natural. It wasn't like
it was a totally just like nonchalant, like at the end, like that's it. I'm gay. I have a boyfriend. And then you're like, cool. I remember watching that movie and being very shocked and like, it's nice to see that representation. I mean, people who, if you are represented in media all the time, you don't really understand, I guess, how it feels when you see something that like is like anything kind of remotely related to you. I don't know. I think maybe that's why people don't care as much. I don't know. But it would be cool for people to see that. See Dumbledore be just like one line of like, oh yeah, we used to be in a relationship, or anything to prove on screen or in a book that they are gay. Velma,
more than just a tweet.
Yeah, more than just a tweet.
And we're still getting tweets. This whole Scooby-Doo thing was done, I think, through Twitter.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's weird. It's very weird. Good for Velma. But
maybe I'm thinking about this wrong, actually, because maybe, and I'll make this brief, but like maybe I should be happy that for whatever reason they weren't allowed to do it, but now like they're like Warner Brothers is like essentially like being put in the spotlight, now for not having done it, and because like we didn't know that before.
They're on the defensive now. Like they're more saying like, hey, we fought for it, and now that we all know about it, there's going to be way more eyes on them when they make Scoob 2 or whatever new Scooby-Doo media. Like this is going to be a more prominent question in interviews and stuff. It'll be interesting. But yeah, I think it's weird. Good for Velma, but I'll save my final opinion for whenever the next Scooby-Doo thing comes out. Like we've had two new Scooby-Doo shows and a movie, and like it's just so weird. Like, oh, okay.
I think our best shot at seeing it was the live action movies, like the two live action, like I think those were not the like Cartoon Network live action ones. I mean, like actual
James Gunn live action.
Yeah, I think that was our chance. I don't know if we will ever see that again, unfortunately. Maybe in the future, maybe if they ever remake those movies.
I see it a little above that. I'm giving it like a 25% chance we're gonna see something soon. Not soon. When I say soon, I'm talking
tomorrow.
Pandemic time. Like,
Warner
the
Brothers,
pandemic will be over.
Are you listening?
If I don't see gay Velma in 3 days, Scoob's gonna get it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Yeah.
Anywho, what are your thoughts on Velma's announcement? Question mark. Or your thoughts on Paper Mario Origami King?
Yes. Don't spoil it for us yet, though.
Drop us a line at DeskPopcast on all social media platforms or in the comments down below. If you've enjoyed this episode, consider liking and subscribing. We have other episodes. We have Let's Plays. We have animated segments. And then we also have another thing, Late to the Party, which I saved for last. How on brand for that. Yeah, this has been Desk Pop. Again, thanks for watching. Have a fantastic life if we don't see you again.
Goodbye.
See ya.